Data structure in Python, there are 4 different kinds of data structures. I have mentioned that tuple, dictionary, list, and set. So let us see one by one. So what is tuple? As you can see, it is written the definition that it is ordered elements enclosed in parentheses. Okay. So as you can see, few values it is taking, and it can be of different data types, and those are placed within parentheses. They are enclosed within parentheses. So here you can see this particular tuple 1. This is the name of the tuple 1, tup1, that has been given. And if you want to assign, let me fix the font first. Okay. You see that tup1 is the name of the tuple, and in that tuple we want to assign this few values. As you can see, one of them is string, another one is integer, another one is boolean, another one is float. So different data types can be entered into a single tuple. Okay, so now this tuple actually not containing a single variable that we have seen earlier. Now it is containing many variables or the many values in a single tuple. It is kind of array, what you have already seen maybe in other programming languages. So this can be of different data types. And how do you know that this is a tuple? Because it is enclosed within parentheses. Okay. So now if you want to check that what is the data type of this tup1, what is the data type of this tup1, you simply write type tup1. So if you write type tup1 and if you execute, you see it is giving that it is a tuple. It is tuple because it is written within the parenthesis. Okay. Now suppose you want to extract one of the value of the tuple at since it is ordered, since tuple is ordered elements, that means order is important. That means it is indexed. So each of the element having a particular index. So we know that index generally starts from 0. So at the 0 index, it is A, this particular string is there. At 1 index, it is 5, then true and 3.45. So if you want to extract this particular value of the tuple, that is tup1, and you know how to extract something. So for that third bracket, within third bracket, you just write the index. So here it is written that index 1. So which one, what will be the value of this particular thing? At the 1 index, it is basically the 5. So if you just execute this one, you see it is giving 5. So now you have understood how to create a tuple, and tuple can take a similar kind of data types, or it can take many different types of data types. And if you want to extract a particular value from the tuple, you just use the proper index and you can extract that. Okay. Now in tuple tup1, 1 to 3, that means 1:3. Then what will be the output? Shubhashish, what will be the output?
1 to 2 of the value name.
What will be the output? You tell me.
It is 5 true.
5 and true. Okay, let's see. Yes. So the output will be 5 and true, because it will take index 1 and index 2 values only. Clear? Okay. Now, next thing that is very, very important, that is tuple is immutable. Tuple is immutable means you cannot change a particular value of a tuple. You cannot replace a value of a tuple. That means at 0 index, what is the value of the tuple tup1? At 0 index, its value is A. Suppose we want to change this A to B, then maybe we can try this particular line of code that tup1 of 0 index, let us assign this value as B. Okay, this kind of thing we have already seen in case of string, right? This is possible, but in case of a tuple, this is not possible, because if you execute this line, you see it is giving error, because tuple is immutable. That means its values cannot be changed. So once the tuple is created, you cannot change its values. You cannot remove a particular value. You cannot replace a particular value. So that is very, very important. You have to remember. Tuple is immutable. Suppose you want to concatenate two tuples. Okay, if you want to concatenate two tuples, then in that case, suppose tuple 2, tup2 you defined as 1, 2, 3. So it contains three integer values 1, 2, and 3. And tup3, say, let us consider another tuple that contains 4, 5, 6. These three integer values. Now, if you want to concatenate these two, if you want to add these two, and you want to make a different tuple, then what you can do, you simply write tup2 plus tup3. Then tup2 plus tup3 will become another tuple. Let us write that is tup4. And if you write tup4 is equal to tup2 plus tup3, and if you want to see what is tup4, then you just simply write tup4. And if you execute, you can see this tup4 will contain both these values of the tuples. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the same order. Clear? So this is simply how we can do the concatenation of the two tuples. In this way, we can add this. Now to find out minimum or maximum, there is function min of the tup2 or max of tup2. If you do that, you will get the minimum value or the maximum value. So in case of minimum of tup2, which will be the answer, 1, 2, 3 is there. So minimum is 1, and the maximum of tup2, and that is 3. So if you simply execute this one, you see that minimum of tup2 is giving 1 and maximum of tup2 is giving 3. So these are certain functions that you have to remember. You can find out directly minimum or maximum. Now this is all about tuple. Now coming to another kind of data structure, which is list. Okay, so tuple we have seen, that is ordered elements written within parentheses. Okay, and one very important property we have seen, that is it is immutable. Now coming to list. List is again ordered elements. Okay, so if you see the definition of list, you see that list is again ordered elements, but it is enclosed in box bracket or third bracket. Okay, so it is ordered elements enclosed in box bracket. So if box bracket is there or the third bracket is there, within that if the elements are enclosed, we'll understand that it is a list. Where it is different from a tuple, we have seen that tuple is immutable. That means you cannot change or replace or delete a particular element from the tuple. But from the list, you can change or delete or append some values into the list. So here is the main difference between the list and the tuple. Clear? So list is mutable and tuple is immutable. So let us see some of the properties of list. So here let us consider that list is given name, say L1. This is the name of the list given, and it contains, you see that some different data types. It also can take different data types, and remember they are also ordered elements. So if they are ordered elements, you know that you can extract them with the index, and you see that this is written within the box bracket. That is why it is a list. You can check its type. If you write a type L1, you will find that it will give you, it's a list. Okay. So now here you can see these are the list values of the list that you can see. Now if you want to extract a particular value from the list, what will be the command? Exactly similar what you have seen in case of a tuple, L1 2. So you want to extract the second index. So what is the value at the index 2? What is the value at the index 2?
3.45.
So you see this is index 0, this is index 1, and this is index 2. So it should be 3.45. Let's check. Yes. So it is 3.45. Sayantan, clear? Hello, Sayantan.
sir.
Clear?
Yes, sir.
How you are
Sir,
extracting
এখানে-
the value from the list?
স্যার ওই তো L1 2 করে পর পর আসবে মানে
It will start from 0. Only thing you remember, index will start from 0. Okay?
হ্যাঁ মানে এটা শর্ট ক্ষেত্রে মানে লিস্ট টাপের মানে প্লাস এটারও
Exactly similar. Now, this is the most important thing, that the list is mutable. Okay, suppose you want to change this value at L12, that means this 3.45. Suppose I want to change this 3.45 by a string B. Okay, and we want to make a different list. So in that case, what you do, you simply write L1, the value within index 2, and that is equal to B. This is a string that we want to assign. So 3.45 will be replaced by B. Now if you want to print what is there inside L1, if you execute, you see that now 3.45 has been replaced by B. So you can understand that the list is mutable, and here is the difference between the tuple and the list. Now suppose you want to append, that means you want to add some value in the same list. You want to change the same list. Okay, L1, within L1 you want to just append another value, you want to add another value, okay, another item. Then what you do, then the command is L1 dot append. So to append a new value, you have to give L1 dot append, and the value that you want to append, that you have to write. It may be of any data type. Okay, so now you see that now the latest list L1 is this one. Now you are appending this value 3.45, and now if you execute, you see that 3.45 is now coming or adding in the list L1. Okay, so you can see how we can add element in the list by using this command dot append. Clear? Now if you want to add something more, suppose you want to add C, this particular string also within that same list L1, then you do the same thing and you see that C is added. Okay, suppose you want to remove a particular value from the list. If you want to remove a particular value from the list, then you can use this command pop. Here you can see L1 dot pop. That is basically you can put some index. Suppose you want to remove 4. Suppose you want to remove this 4 from this list L1. You want to remove 4. So 4, what is the index of 4? The index of 4 is 1, right?
Sir.
Index of 4 is 1, because this is 0, this is 1. So if you write this one, that L1 pop 1, then what will happen, it will identify that which index you want to pop out, and it will remove that, and now the new list will be created. And if you just print L1, it will give you the new list. So you just check it. You see that the 4 is not there now, because you have actually eliminated that one, because 4 is at the index 1. And if you do not write anything, then automatically it will take the last index. Okay, that means if you do this one, then you will see it will take the last index. Okay, so last index will be out from the list. I think this part is clear, how to append, how to pop. Okay,
স্যার
yes,
স্যার বলছি যে অ্যাপেন্ড করলে তো শেষে ভ্যালুটা আসছে, আমি যদি মিডিলে অ্যাড করতে চাই কি করতে হবে?
see, I have already told you that it is a ordered thing. So if you want to add it somewhere in middle, then you have to give that particular index, then you have to append, and for that generally the command is insert, not the append. Okay, I'll show you that. Okay, I'll show you this part, how to append and how to eliminate. If we want to reverse, the order of the elements, the command is simply L1 dot reverse. If you write L1 dot reverse, it will simply Okay, so suppose A and B, that is there within L1. Now, if you reverse, you see it will become B and A. Okay, so reverse means the whole order is going to reverse. That's all. So you have to remember certain things. Now, what Surojit was asking, that if you want to add certain thing at some intermediate index, because in append command always it will add at the end. If you want to insert certain thing within some intermediate index, in that case the command is not append, it is insert. Okay, so what you have to do, like L1 dot insert at location index 1, if you want to add hello, then you can do that. Okay, so let us do it. You see that now at index 1 it is hello. Okay, so in this way, by using the insert command, you remember that initial one is the index where you want to add this particular element. It can be integer, it can be string. Here it is a string that has been added. Okay, Surojit, clear?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay. Now, there is a command directly with which you can sort. That means here you can see there is a list that has been defined, L2, where G, M, U, these are the different elements. And if you want to sort, you just use this command, that L2.sort. L2.sort, and it will automatically sort alphabetically of these strings. So if you just do that, you will find that it will automatically alphabetically ordered. Similarly, this is also true if you put some integers as the element within that list, and if you use this sort command, it will at a increasing order or ascending order, you will find that that will be sort. Okay. Now concatenating and repeating of a list. Okay, so if you want to concatenate two different lists, suppose L3 and L4 are there defined in this way, and if you want to add these two lists, simply the command is again similar what you have seen in case of tuple. Just write L3 plus L4 and you will get the new list L5 like this. Okay, so this is simple. Now you see, suppose you want to repeat some list, that means suppose 579, you want to put this 579 twice, and you want 1, 2, 3 also in that list, then you can write this kind of a command like L3 into 2 plus L4. So in that case, what will happen, that L3 will come twice in that new list. Okay, in that new list L3 will come twice, and then L4 will be added. If we execute, you see that what you are going to get, you see that this L3 579 is repeating twice because it is multiplied by 2, and then L4 is added. Okay, so in this way you can generate other list from the some existing lists. Okay, now coming to the dictionary, this is another data structure, and in dictionary you see the definition that dictionary is enclosed within curly brackets or second bracket. Within curly brackets, dictionary elements are enclosed, and dictionary is always there with key value pair. Okay, so it is always there with key value pair. That means the key is there and its value is there. Okay, so it is not actually the ordered, because there is no question of index is present, because index in terms of key is already there as element within that. Okay, so let's see that how dictionary is defined and how to work with dictionary. Remember, for our data science application or machine learning application, list is a very, very important one, and dictionary is also a very, very important one. So list and dictionary are the most important data structures that we will that will be required. Suppose we have defined one dictionary, DIC1. This is the name of the dictionary we have given, and we have enclosed it within curly brackets. Okay, And how the dictionary elements are written, you see, here initially within the quotation, it is written the key. Here the key is apple. Apple is the key. And then there is colon. And after that, what is written? This is basically the value. So apple is the key and its value is 10. So it's called the key value pair. So this is one key value pair. Then comma, that means now we are coming to the second key value pair. What is the second key value pair? So key is orange, that is written within quotation, and then colon, and then you have to write the value. So you can understand the keys are like apple and orange. These are the keys. And what is the value of the apple? Value of the apple is 10. What is the value of the orange? That is 20. So in case of dictionary, if we want to call a particular value, if we want to extract a particular value, we have to extract it by the key name, by the key name. If I tell you what is the value for the key apple, then it will extract 10. What is the value for the key orange? Then it will extract 20. And there is no order basically. Okay, there is no question of order. So that means there is no question of index. Okay, so this apple is kind of index and its value is 10. Orange is kind of index and its value is 20. Okay, so this is not called actually index, it is called key, and this is the corresponding value. And the syntax is very important. That key is written within quotation and then colon and then value. And after that, the next key value pair. Okay, so this is what is the structure, how this dictionary is defined. Now, if you want to see that what is the data type, you just simply type dictionary 1, you will see that it is a dictionary. Okay, because this kind of key value pair is there within the dictionary. Now, if you want to extract what are the keys present within that dictionary, then you can write that particular dictionary name dot keys. If you do that, you will find the different keys like apple and orange will come. So output of this part is what? Apple and orange, because these are the keys. And if you want to find out what are the values, then the values are 10 and 20. These are the values. So if you write dictionary 1 dot values, then you will get 10 and 20. Okay, so if you execute, you see that dictionary keys are apple and orange and dictionary values are 10 and 20. Clear? I think these are the basic structure of the dictionary. Now see, if we want to add or if we want to change the same dictionary. So here it is also mutable. So you can change or you can add or you can remove. So here you can see in dictionary 1, if you want to add another key value pair, suppose you want to add another key value pair. So in that case, what you do, give the name of that dictionary where you want to add, and then within third bracket, you give the key name. You give the key name exactly in a similar manner within quotation, and then is equal to, you give the value. Then what will happen? Within that dictionary, that means where already apple and orange is there, within that dictionary, because the dictionary name is same, so within that dictionary, this particular mango 50, this key value pair will be added. Okay. Similarly, if you want to replace, suppose you want to replace this particular key value pair, that means if you want to replace this apple, the value of apple will not be 10, it will be 100. Suppose you want to change. So in that case, what you do, you just write like this dictionary 1 apple, and instead of 10, now you just put 100. Then what will happen in the dictionary 1, now you will find that it will contain apple, and instead of 10, it will be 100. Orange 20 will be there as it was, and new one will be added, that is mango 50. Now, if you want to see what is there within that dictionary, if you execute, you see that apple 100, mango 50, and orange 20. Since it is not an ordered one, so it may come in a random fashion. So there is no question of order here, because it will always come as a key value pair. Okay. So we have seen that how we can add or we can replace. Now, here you see that another dictionary has been defined, dictionary 2, that is having two key value pairs, kiwi 40 and banana 5. And if you want to update dictionary 1 with dictionary 2, okay, so this is kind of addition of two dictionary that we have seen in case of tuple or list. If you want to add two list or two tuple, we have used plus symbol. But here, if we want to update, so the command is dot update, and what we are doing in dictionary 1 is going to update it by adding dictionary 2 within it. So if we write dictionary 1 dot update dictionary 2, so dictionary 2 is this one, then what will happen, this dictionary 1 will contain all the key value pairs already was there in dictionary 1, and along with that these two elements of the dictionary 2 will also be added. So the command is dictionary 1 dot update dict2. So if you see that, you see that dictionary 1 is now updated with another key value pairs like banana and kiwi is now added. Okay. Now if you want to remove, you just remove it with the proper key. If you just put the proper key, because you know that in a dictionary there is no index, so you just use the same command dot pop, but instead of index you have to give the proper key. Then automatically that particular key value pair will be deleted. Okay, both key and value both will be deleted. Okay, because that is basically the element. So now dictionary 1 will be modified. You see, now kiwi 40 is not there in that dictionary. Okay, so this is about the dictionary, some of the basic operations that we can do in dictionary.
Sir, dot pop command ta kise janne?
Dot pop is to identify a particular index or to identify a particular key and then remove it. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Sir, বলছি
Yes.
স্যার আপনি বললেন না আপডেট পোর্শনটা,
Yes.
আপডেট স্যার তো ওখানে তো লিখতে পারি মানে ডিআইসি 1 ইকুয়ালস টু মানে ওই যেটা বললাম ডিআইসি 1 প্লাস ডিআইসি 2 হলে লিখতে পারি আমরা
No.
আপডেটের জায়গায়।
DIC 1 plus DIC 2 I think is not going to work. You can check that whether it is working or not. You just check, you write something dictionary 3 and write is equal to dictionary 1 plus dictionary 2 and check whether it is giving any error or it's fine. If it is fine, then you can write, but I don't think it will work. You can check. Okay. Okay, now coming to the next data structure, which is the set. Okay, so set is again, if you see the definition, the set is unordered data structure, unindexed collection of elements enclosed within curly bracket. So like dictionary, set is also within represented within curly brackets, but it is not containing key value pair like in dictionary, and there is it is also unordered. There is no order that is there, and it is also not indexed. Okay, it is also not indexed. So these are the properties of set that you already know from the basic definition of set is the same thing. So how we can define a set and we can operate. Yes.
Sir, unindexed meaning ta ki bollo?
Unindexed means since there is no order, there is no question of index. Na? Suppose I want to extract this F from here, I cannot write that it is there at 0, 1 at one index because it is unordered. Because the same set, if you execute, it may come in a random order. Okay, so there is no order in the set. Like in tuple or list, we have seen there is order. That is why the index is important. Through index we can call, but in case of a set, there is no specific order. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So that is why no question of indexing of that particular element. Now here you see one set is defined like elements 4, F, 6.78 and 23 repeating 3 times. And you will find that since there is no key value pair present within that and it is within a curly bracket, it will automatically detect that this is a set. Okay. And if you want to execute, you see that the set will not contain the same thing repeated. Okay. So here you see that 23 is repeated thrice, but when you are getting the values of the set, you will find that 23 only once, and you see the values are coming in a random fashion because there is no question of order, there is no question of index, so it will come in a random fashion. Okay. Now adding and removing elements from a set, for that simply write the name of the set dot add, and then you put the value that you want to add, either string or number that you can give. Okay, so here you can see in the previous set, that is set 1, we want to add one more element, that is 11. So if you do that and if you print what is set 1, you see that 11 is now added along with the other values there in the previous set. Now again, you can update the set by passing a list into it. Suppose you, instead of adding a single element, suppose you want to add 7 elements or 9 more elements into that set. Okay, so in that case, what we can do, that those 9 elements we can write in a list. As you can see that A and B containing within a list, because you can see it is written within the box bracket. So this list we just pass and we write set1 dot update, and within box bracket within update we have just passed this list. Then what will happen, these 2 values will be added within that set and the set 1 will be updated. Clear? So if you execute, you see that this if you want to remove a particular element from the set, the command is set1 dot remove, as you can see, and then you write that particular value or the element, and you will find that that will be removed. So here you can see, so in case of a set, it is not the pop that command is used, you have to specify that particular element, because in case of set, you know, there is no index or there is no key so that you can refer. So pop command is not used in case of set. If you want to remove, then definitely you have to give that particular element directly within that command. So remove command you can use to eliminate some element from the set. Okay, and you know what is intersection and union, that definitely you can do. That means let us consider that a set is there, set 3, which containing these elements, and already we have defined something which is set 1. As you can see, this is what is set 1, and set 3 is this one. And suppose you want to find out what is the intersection of set 1 and set 3, then the command is set1 dot intersection set 3. Then intersection will actually extract the common of the set 1 and set 3. So the values which are common in set 1 and set 3, that will be there in this intersection. And in union, what will be there? In union, you will find that all the values of set 1 and set 3 without any repetition. Okay, so if you just simply execute this one, you see that in intersection, it is only 4 and F, because 4 and F, these 2 are common in set 1 and set 3. And for the union part, you see that all the values of set 1 and set 3 is there, but none of the elements are repeating. Okay, so this is the basic concepts of intersection and union. So these are the certain operations. This is the command. You just if you want to find the intersection or union between 2 sets, you have to write, say, set 1, this is the first set, and then dot intersection, then the second set. Definitely set 1 and set 3 you have to previously defined, and in our case we have already defined it, and then you will find the intersection or the union. Intersection you know that it is the common of these two sets, and union is all the values of set 1 and set 3 without repeating any one of them. Okay. So these are certain basic data structures that we have seen. Now next we'll go to the if-else statement very quickly. These are common, but still in Python, how those are written, you have to see. You know that in if-else statements are used for the conditional statements. For example, I have given one example, and you see the data structure, how it is different from the other programming languages. Suppose we have defined a integer k, that is 20, and r 18, and then if we have given one conditional statement that if k is greater than r, then you print something that k is greater than r, else you print k is less than r. So what is the data structure? What is the block structure that you see? Here you see that this if k greater than r, after that this colon you have to give. That means this is the starting of the block if. Okay, so this colon is very, very important. Okay, and similarly in case of else also, this colon you have to mention. And another very important thing, that is the indentation. Here you see that if you give less indentation, suppose if you write print here, then it is not going to execute this particular command. Okay, because you have to give the proper indentation so that it is taking this particular condition. This indentation is very important. Unnecessarily, it will not take very high indentation, or it will not take very small indentation. You have to give a particular indentation. In Jupyter Notebook, if you do it from the Anaconda Navigator, in Jupyter Notebook, you will find that there is a proper color change with respect to the indentation. So that will help you to understand that how much indentation you have to take. In Colab, you have to execute, and if you find that error is coming with respect to indentation, then accordingly you have to change the indentation. Okay, there is no color symbol I am getting here when I am reducing the indentation or increasing the indentation. Okay, so the important thing is that the command is like this: if, then the conditional statement, then this colon, and after that in the next line you have to give a proper indentation, and then you have to write then if it is true, then what you want to carry out, and similarly if it is else or else if, exactly in a similar order you have to do. Clear? So this is what is the basic command. If we just execute it, you see that here we have given k is 20, r is 18, so it is showing that k is greater than r because it is going into that particular condition. Instead of that, if we write this is 118, and if we execute it again, you see that k is less than r. That means now instead of if, it is going to the else. It's as simple as that. Now you can solve a very simple problem. Just for demonstration, you see that find the greatest among A, B, C. So let us consider that C, B, and A are 32, 27, 20. Now, if you put this kind of a condition like if A greater than B and A greater than C, then colon. So this is what is the structure of writing if. Okay. And after that, with the proper indentation, as you can see, we have written print A is greatest. If this is the condition, A is greatest, then if is if this particular condition does not satisfy. If this particular condition does not satisfy, then it will come here, and additionally it will take these conditions, this conditional statement, that it is not satisfying these, and if B greater than A and B greater than C, if this is the situation, then it will go under it, and in that case B will be the greatest. And else you see that print C is the greatest. That means if this is not true, if this is not true, then definitely the only option is C is the greatest. Okay, so print C is the greatest. here I have considered that A, B, C are different values. You can definitely modify the program depending upon, there may be a chance that A, B, C all are equal, or A and B are equal. In that case, definitely this particular block of program is not going to work. So in that case, maybe some fine tuning you have to make. So you can do in that way also. But just for the demonstration, for this particular values only, I have given. This is not a very general program to find out greatest among the three. I think how to write if, else, if, else, that is clear to you. In Python, this is the...
হ্যাঁ স্যার, স্যার বলছি এলিফ আর এলসটা কখন মানে ইউজ করব, মানে মানে নাম্বার অফ ওটা কি বেশি থাকলে এলিফটা ইউজ করব?
Else if means what? Else if, that means this particular condition not satisfied. Along with that, some other condition is to be satisfied, then this particular thing is going to happen. In that case.
আচ্ছা, সেটা বুঝে করতে হবে। আচ্ছা, বুঝেছি।
Yes. Okay. Now let us apply these if else in with the tuple or list, so that it will be clear. Suppose there is a tuple tup4, suppose it contains ABC, then you can write a very simple program like this: if S in tup4. In tup4 means if S is there within tup4. Okay, if this is true or false, based on that it will execute this particular line, that is yes. Okay, so you can use in that way also. Okay, and else print no. So this is a simple way you can do, and here you can see that S is not there in the tuple 4. That is why it is going to the else and it is showing no. Similarly, in a list, suppose this is a list L1 that has been defined, and you can apply this kind of a code like if L1 0, that means at index 0, it is checking whether it is A or not. If it is A, in that case, what you do, you replace that particular value by 1. That means if it is true, if it is A, then you replace it by 1. And there is another condition that is given, that if L1 2 is C, that means what is there in the second index. In the second index, in our case, it is 10. But if it was C, then you have to replace that quantity by 3. So definitely it is not C. So it is not going to replace this 10 by 3. Okay. Now if you print what is L1, if you want to see what is L1, you'll find only this A will be replaced by 1. But this L2, that means this 10 is not going to replaced by 3. So here you can see that A is replaced by 1, but this is not replaced because this condition has not been satisfied. Okay. Similarly, in case of dictionary also, you can apply the similar thing. Like suppose a dictionary has been defined D1, which is K1 24, K2 54, and K3 89. Key value pairs are there. And if D1 K2 is less than 50, it is checking what is the value of K2 key. So the value is here, in our case it is 24, it is 54. So it is not less than 50. So it is not satisfying this condition, right? It is not satisfying this condition. So it is not going to add 50 with this value. So it is definitely the else, that means it will go here, and what it is going to do, it will subtract 50 from this. Okay. So if it is not if it is not less than 50, in that case, that means if it is either greater than or equal to 50, that is what is the case. In that case, it will just simply subtract 50 from that value. And after that, if you just print what is D1, you see that this K2 is now become 4, because 54 minus 50, that is 4. Okay. So in this way, you can apply this if else statement with the dictionary or the list or the tuple. Okay. Now coming to the while and the for loop. Let us take one very simple example. of the while loop for I is equal to 1. Let us consider I is equal to 1. And while there is a condition, and the condition is I less than equal to 10. If I less than equal to 10, then it will be within this block. Again, remember, the indentation is very, very important, because this is also creating a block. You see the colon command is there. Okay, so for that block you have to give the proper indentation. So if I less than equal to 10, then print I. So initially I is 1, so it will satisfy this condition, so it will print I. That means the 1 will be printed, and after that it will go to the next line, and I is equal to I plus 1. If I is equal to I plus 1, then I will become 2, and I will become 2, and then again it will check whether I is less than 10, less than equal to 10 or not. Yes, I is equal to 2 means it is again less than equal to 10, so it will print 2. Then I will become 3, and in this way this will carry out, and when this condition is not satisfied, then it will come out of this loop. Okay, so when I will become 11, at that time it will come out of this particular loop. Okay, so if we execute this particular set of code, then what will be the output? Definitely output will be from I is equal to 1 to 10, it will print. So you can see it will print 1 to 10. So this is the basic thing. But instead of that, if you just write this I, if you actually remove this indentation and put this I, that means it will not be within that while loop. Okay, so indentation actually telling you that it is within that particular block of codes. Okay, it is similar for the for or if, where these blocks are used. Now let's take another example. Suppose in this example we want to print that a table of 4. Suppose we want to print table of 4. Okay.
Hello,
so
sir.
For the table of, yes,
স্যার আপনি বললেন না স্যার ওই উপরেরটা হোয়াইল লুপে যখন স্যার I ইকুয়ালস টু মানে লেস দেন ইকুয়ালস টু 10, তখন তো যখন আপনি প্রোগ্রামটা রান হলো স্যার, তখন তো 10টাকেও লাস্টে শো করছিল, কিন্তু 10 প্লাস 1 তো স্যার এখানে মানে মোর দেন 10 হয়ে যাচ্ছে
না, 10 plus 1 11, but after that it will not satisfy the while loop, so it will come out of the loop. So that is why the print command is not going to execute when I will become 11. Okay. Okay. So now here what we want to do here, let us consider I is equal to 1 and n is equal to 4, and check I less than equal to 10 or not. So what we want to print is that it will print that n, what is n? N is 4, then comma, then within inverted comma it is written star. Star is basically the symbol of multiplication. So 4 multiplication, then it is written I. So I is what? Initially I is 1, so 1, so it will become 4 into 1. After that, what is there? Within inverted comma it is written equal to, so it will just take a string as equal to, so it will become 4 into 1 equal to, and then comma you just write n into I. That means 4 into 1, that means 4. So 4 into 1 is equal to 4, that will be printed. Then it will go to the next line and it will become I is equal to I plus 1, so that means I will become 2 now, and again it will go to within the while group because it is satisfying this condition. So it will become 4, then into, now this will become 2. So 4 into 2 is equal to 4 into 2, that is 8. Okay, so in this way it will go till I will become 11, then it will come out of the while. So if you just execute, you will see it will print in this way. 4 into 1 is equal to 4 into 2 is equal to 8. Okay. So this is basically the print statement we have given in this way, such that how we want to show this thing, accordingly we have just written. Next, one of the applications in the list for a while loop that has been given here. You see, one list has been defined. Suppose the list containing 1 to 5, and let us consider I is equal to 0. And now checking is that if I is less than length of the list, I is less than length of the list. So length of the list is, you see that what is the length of the list? That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 is the length of the list. So if I is less than 5, then what it will do, that L1I is equal to L1I plus 100. Okay, so what it is going to do, basically, each of the element, you see that initially I is equal to 0. So it will take the 0th index, L1 0, 0th index is what? 0th index is 1. So it will convert that particular value at that index 0 is equal to right now what is the value plus 100. So it is simply add the 100 with that value, and it will be now assigned to that variable only. So it will become 101. Now I will be increased by 1, and it will again check whether it is less than 5 or not. Okay, so in this way it will carry out, and finally when I will become 5, then it will come out of the group loop. So basically I is equal to 4. So up to I is equal to 4, this particular loop is going to operate. So index, it is going to take what? 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. And when it will become 5, it will come out, because what is the fourth index? Fourth index is nothing but the 5. This number is at the fourth index. Okay, so it will increase this value also by increment of 100. So all the values will be increased by 100 through this program. So now if you want to see what is there within L1, you see all these values will be increased by 100. Okay, so these are certain simple examples how we can use within a list. You can also use within a dictionary in the similar manner. One for loop example has been given. The while and for are similar kind of loop. Only in case of a while, when the loop will complete, that will be dictated by some condition. This condition in case of a while, and in case of a for, basically that how many number of iterations are going to be carried out, that is initially given. Okay, so in a for loop, here you can see that one list has been defined in a for loop. One list has been defined. Suppose apple, banana, watermelon, grapes are there, and what we want to do is that we want to print each of its elements. So you can use a simple for loop like for I in L1, and print I. Okay, so that is going to print all its elements. That's all. Okay, so if you just execute, you will see that it will print all its element. Only the command that I have used, I, any variable name, in L1. So in L1, what are the variables there? So those are going to be presented. Suppose there are two lists, suppose L2 and L3. You can see there are two lists. One is black, white and brown. L3 is chair, table and mobile. And what you want to print is that say black chair, black table, black mobile, then white chair, white table, white mobile, brown chair, brown table and brown mobile. That means we want to print all these possible combinations between this color and the items. Okay, so for that what we can do, we can make a nested loop. As you can see that for I in L2 means it will take one by one all these elements, and within that loop with proper indentation, I am using another for loop, which is we have given that j in L3, and if we print simply I comma j, then it will take i's, that means corresponding to black, it will take one by one all the values of j, that means chair, table and mobile. Then it will take I as white, and it will take. So if you just execute, you see that what you will get. You see it will take black chair, black table, black mobile, like this. Okay, so in this way, we can use this for if these loops within list, dictionary, and all that. Okay. Now, in most of the examples, in fact, in all of the examples I have given how to take the values, all these are defined. Suppose we want to take input from the user. So how to take input from the user? For that, you can take a string input from the user in this way, like you given a variable name, say S, and write input, and within parentheses, you just give some comment so that one can enter the proper kind of input. Suppose you want a string, so you just write this, enter a text within inverted comma, so that that person will give you only the text. Then this S will be assigned with that text. Okay, so if you simply execute this one, you see that it is asking for a text. Okay, suppose I'm giving a text, say ball, and after that you have to give enter. Then what will happen? That the ball text actually is now assigned to S. So now if you want to print what is S, if you want to print what is there within S, you see it is ball. Okay. Similarly, you can put one integer, you can take integer input from the user, and for that, what you have to do, the same thing, the same command, only the whole thing you have to convert it into integer. So whole thing you have to write integer within parentheses, and within that you write that command, and you give the proper instructions so that the person can understand what kind of input is to be given, like enter an integer, and in that case X will be assigned with some integer. Okay, otherwise by default it will take some string value. Okay, if you write only this much, it will take some string value. So in this way we can enter integer, we can put integer value within it, or if you want to take some float value, some decimal value, you instead of integer you just write float, and within that you just write this command. Suppose instead of taking a single value, if you want to take a list from the as an input, okay, so if you want to take a list, then what you will do, you just write this, suppose the L1 is the name of the list where you want to save the input list elements. So let us write some empty list first, define some empty list like L1 is equal to empty list, that means only the square bracket, and then you write this command that L1 is equal to, if you want this input list containing only the integer values, okay, so in that case what you have to do, you have to convert that input value into the integer. Okay, so int I. So because you know by default the... Hello?
Hello, sir.
Yes, Kollol. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I think it is the problem of Kollol. Kollol, you check your speaker. So now you see that L1 is equal to integer I. Now for I in input, so what we are actually doing, you see carefully, that input enter list of items, that means this is the instruction you are giving within inverted comma, but it is actually going to take some input. Okay, it is going to take some input as a text. It is going to take input as a text. Okay, but actually what you want, you suppose you want 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, these 4 integers you want to take as a list, but always you know that input will take by string. So what you do, that you give an instruction such that people can understand that how the many values has to be given. So you have given this kind of an instruction that enter list items, those should be integers but separated by a space. You can also write separated by comma also, but I have written separated by space. Then what it will take, this input is going to take a particular string that you are entering. Okay, it will take as a text. Suppose you have entered 3, 4, 5 with a space, then it will take this as a string, 3 space 4 space 5. In this way it will take. So that is a string. Then what you have to do? You have to split that string, and you know with respect to space. So with respect to space, we know if we do not write anything, then it will by default will split into with respect to space. If you write if you want to do it by comma, then in that case you write here comma, and here you have to write then comma. Then it will then it will separate it by comma. So we just want to give the data with proper space, that means a single space. So split is going to split all the individual text with respect to the space. Now what will happen at the output of this is basically 3, 4 and 5. These three numbers will be now the separate strings, not still integers. They will be separate strings, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, now what you have to do, so that will be there within I. So I is now containing what? I is now containing 3, 4 and 5, but I is string. Now you want integer as the result. That is why you have to convert this I into integer. So that is why integer I. So in this way, what will happen? The values that you are giving with space will be taken directly as a list in terms of integer. So let us execute. So I think this one is the right one. Let me check. 5 space 7 space 8 space 9. And if we give enter, then you see now if you just want to print what is there within L1, you just write L1 and enter. Okay, give again say 5 space 7 space 9 space 2 and enter. You see that L1 is now containing 5, 7, 9 and 2. So this list is now created, and all these are integers now because you have converted into integer. So exactly in a similar way, if you enter the float, then you have to convert it into float. If you want to take the string input, in that case you need not to write this int. Okay, if you want to take the string input, you need not to write that one. So you just write I. So if I just do it, suppose I'm giving apple space mango space banana, and if we enter, you see that now the list L2 is containing apple, mango and banana. So in this way we can take input from the user also. Okay.